All right, so we all know that somebody lit Brittany's car on fire.
And that somebody is named Jenna.
We don't know who it is.
I do. It was Jenna.
We can't really blame anybody at this point.
I can, and I blame Jenna.
So for now, that will have to remain a mystery.
Mystery solved. Jenna burned up my fucking car.
Fuck your life! Bing bang!
You see these dogs in your front yard? Just go upstairs, I'm going hard.
Hi friends, it's Monday, and that's Therapy Day for me, which means it's Therapy Day for you. Or you could scroll, but if I'm on your For You page, I feel like I know my demographic. You might need to be here. Anyway, we were talking about accommodations, because on Friday, I had 3 exams on the same day, and one of them I spent like 9 hours preparing for. I've been up since 9. It was a super hard exam. My professor was very clear about how the format the notes needed to be in, because it was open note, but like not really, and I spent like the entire day preparing, and then it was right before I needed to leave. My computer wasn't working, my printer didn't work, and I could feel the lining in my socks, and my hair was too tight, and I had a huge meltdown, and I missed my exam, and like 2 hours later when I was done crying, I emailed my professor, and I was like, in all honesty, this is what happened. This is a circumstance. I don't have accommodations to the school because I've had really bad experiences with that. Any chance you'll let me make it up, because she has a really strict makeup policy. And she was like, yes, we're going to put all these accommodations in place for you throughout the rest of the semester if that works for you. And I was like, oh, because I have a lot of internalized ableism about needing accommodations, because it feels like I'm cheating, because technically I've made it this far. Like, my grades are pretty good, but it's cost me a lot other ways. And learning that just because my grades are good does not mean I don't need accommodations is kind of hard for me. Learning to accept help is hard.
Choose your character.
Did you guys know that neurotypicals consider this to be rolling your eyes and not this? You know all those times you struggled with eye contact and looked at the ceiling and you were called rude? That's why.
Bang, bang, choo choo twang, let me see you do your thing. Bounce, 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 bounce. Bang, bang, choo choo twang.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
So autism is clinically defined as having social communication deficits. Kind of. Just listen to this research study. In this research study, researchers took 3 groups of people. In the first group, they were all non-autistic people or allistic people. In the second group, there were all autistic people. And in the third group, there were both autistics and allistics, a mixed neurotype group. And what the game was, it was very similar to telephone, in which a researcher gave a story to the first person in the group. That first person had to carry the story to the second person had to carry the story to the third person, and so on and so forth. And the groups were judged by their ability to recall details from the story. And so let's take a look at how the 3 different groups did. The first group, remember, was all non-autistics or allistics, and they did great. They were excellent at this game. They recalled so many details. So let's take a look at the all autistic group. The all autistic group did just as fine. They remembered just as many details as the non-autistics. They did great. But let's take a look at the mixed neurotype group, where it was both autistics and allistics. That's where there was a communication breakdown. They were not able to play the game as well. They did not recall as many details. And afterwards, when the researchers briefed them about the story and how they were playing the game, that's where the participants explained that they felt like there was some sort of communication breakdown. They weren't able to develop rapport with the other people. They felt like they were not being able to communicate well with each other. So, is it a social communication deficit? Or is it a social communication difference? Because the difference arises when the two neurotypes are communicating with each other, but when autistics are talking to other autistics or allistics are talking to other allistics, there's not as many issues. That's fascinating to me. What do you guys think?
I've been sleeping in a cardboard pig, spending every dollar at the pussy shop. And even though I know I haven't got that ass, I'll try to give you love until the day you come.
Meh. What the fuck was that? Why did you just make that noise? That was so weird. Meh. What was that noise? Nah. Did it mean something? Meh. Meh.
Like the grapes that thrive on the vine. Oye, Mariano's on his way. He told me that the man of my dreams.
Hi, so I don't know who needs to hear this, but I certainly did, so I'm going to share in hopes that it helps someone else. So, sensory issues, right? They can affect way more than just visual and auditory input. Like, the most common sensory issues I hear about are people getting overwhelmed from sound or light, and those are totally valid, but those are not the only sensory issues that can occur. You can have a sensory issue with any of your senses, and humans have a lot of senses, like way more than 6. The human body is so very good at sensing stuff. It's very cool. But you can have sensory issues in connection with any of your senses. For me, for example, I have a very low pain tolerance. I always have, and it's always been a little weird, and I've always been kind of nervous about the fact and kind of tiptoed through life with a lot of anxiety because I had such a low pain tolerance compared to my peers. Turns out, pain is a sensation. Pain is something you feel. My body doesn't know how to process the sensation of pain, so it always feels worse than it is. It's a sensory issue, and I didn't realize it for years.
You know, I don't know why doctors think it's so hard to diagnose adults with autism. All you have to do is ask one question. Are you a theater kid but also consider yourself an introvert? Boom, it's that easy.
Okay, so I was midway talking about the T-Rex arms of autistic people because I realised that my sister's the only person in our household who does it. And I was trying to put together why this would be, because I have 4 siblings, and both my parents are autistic, all of them are autistic. I'm autistic, but she's the only one who does it. And I tried to put together why this might be. And I realised it's because the rest of us have pockets. So we put our hands in our pockets, where she's 7 and likes to wear skirts and leggings, so T-Rex arms. And I was putting this together and I was like, I don't do T-Rex arms. And then I watched the video. And I realised that, yes, well, I do have pockets, and that's my idle animation. I do put my hands behind my back. I gesture while I talk, and in between gestures, if I can't think of the next gesture, if I'm about to do the next gesture, I do this.
I have no idea where the stereotype comes from. Like, let me talk from personal experience here. I have never experienced a fan base with more concentrated autism than the entire genre of metal music.
No amount of neurotypical just do it advice has ever worked as well for getting me to do something that I don't want to do as simply treating my brain as if it is a trap-savvy feral cat that I need to get to the shelter. What I mean by that is outright tricking, conning, bamboozling my brain into doing the goddamn thing. I need to wash my hair, but I don't want to stop watching this bug video. Well, what if we just took the bug video into the bathroom? And what if I just happened to start filling the bathtub while I watch this bug video? And hey, there's a stool that you could put your laptop on right next to the bathtub and surprise, you're in the tub now! Gasp! Egads! Whatever shall I do? Well, now I'm in the tub, and the bug video is still going, but I don't have anything to do with my hands. I guess I might as well wash. Freaking ta-da. There you go. Now I need to figure out how to trick my brain into doing the laundry.
You know how I know that neurotypicals don't let each other talk about stuff that they like? They think they do, but they don't. Because if you ever try and bring up a thing you, want, but can't afford around someone, a neurotypical, they'll be like, is this a hint? Are you hinting? The fuck? No, why would that, why is that your first, I don't, fuck.
Growing up not knowing you're on the spectrum will lead to some pretty interesting discoveries later on in life. You realize that you've been doing things differently than most people, or that there's other ways to do things. Like the other day, I realized you can chew food with both sides of your mouth. Let me explain. So me and my partner were going over stims, trauma responses, and compulsive things, and we were talking about our need to count the number of times we chew on either side of our mouths, whether it be because you give your teeth emotions and feel bad that the other side isn't getting attention, or you feel that you need to wear both down at the same rate. And they mentioned chewing on both sides at the same time, and my brain went, I didn't know you could chew with both sides of your mouth at the same time. I'm eating so much faster now.
If you wish to date with me, you must answer these riddles 3. Except I'm not going to tell you what the riddles are. You just have to guess. And guess the answers too. And if you get it wrong, I'm simply not going to tell you, and I'm just going to stop talking to you.
Wait, how is this? What is the dog doing? What is that?
Remember how I told you all the other day a previous job had made me go for an IQ test when telling them I'm autistic? Well, just you wait till you hear what my current job did. They treated me with respect. Before having my interview there, they said, hey, do you want to come to the building early to get a feel of the building before your interview? And then when I started there, they were like, don't worry, we've done our research. We're happy to do adjustments for you. And I was like, what's going on? Well, this doesn't usually happen. Is someone about to jump out and call me an ableist slur? Is this all a prank? How is this happening? And I have now been there 2 years, and it has just got better and better, and I'm incredibly happy.